Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now, in this tutorial, or it's not necessarily a tutorial actually. I haven't made a video for a minute now, and I mean it's still the same excuse. I guess I can say I've been a bit busy. A lot of stuff has been happening. So I really didn't have the time to do any. Additionally, you may be hearing a little bit of a rumbling in the audio right now, and that is because my audio is quite horrible, and it's the other reason why I haven't been making any tutorials as well, because I just hated I just really disliked how it sound. I created a tutorial about a week ago, not necessarily a tutorial, it's just a video. I was looking at something, and it's the same thing that we're going to be looking at today, and I didn't really like how it sounds, so I pretty much just deleted it just after recording it. But I think it's a little bit better now. It's not the best. It's something I can work with. I'm in the process of getting a new mic, and when I get that, we'll see what happens. But yeah, today we're gonna look at why I don't necessarily like to use dependencies in my packet in my projects, and this is especially when it comes down to larger scale projects. So I'm gonna go to start page because I guess I don't necessarily use Google that much anymore, and well, unless it's necessary. And we're gonna look at the first thing, which is NodeIpc, and this is pretty much a video that I was recorded and deleted. So this is a package, a very popular package, and then here when we look at the different results that are coming in from here, you will notice that you have something like protest where, alert, and this is probably something that you've heard about already, because this is about a week ago. I actually created the tutorial when it was actually a hot topic then, but because it was bad, I deleted it. But yeah, it's basically, I wanted to find the article, but I don't remember who wrote it. Here we go. This is where it is. It's a pretty nice article that I think that everyone should probably take a look into. And I don't like this theme. I'm gonna change it to dark shortly soon. So basically what the title of it, you can see alert for peace not war module sabotage npm developers in the NodeIpc package to protest the invasion of Ukraine. And again, I don't want to say unless you have lived under a rock or whatever, but I'm pretty sure everyone should be aware of that situation by now. It's a very tragic one, in my opinion, and it's something that probably should not be happening, and it's horrible. But what the approach that this person took, the idea here is that the person basically is maintaining this package here, which is a very popular package that a lot of different products that we all use are dependent on. And what happened was that he went ahead and basically injected the peace not war module, because this one is kind of different. It's basically a protest where, which is I guess a new name that came for it, which basically I guess deletes or corrupts your hard drive if you have an IP address that is coming from Russia or Belarus. And again, I would highly recommend that you read this article. It's very great. It's not, I wouldn't say it's the most lengthy article I've read, but it's quite good, and I think you should really take a minute, and I'll leave this in the description. So really take a look at this article here, because it highlights everything that you need to know. So basically what he did was just created the peace not war module, and then he injected it into the NodeIpc module which a lot of packages are dependent on. Now, why am I highlighting this story or whatever? And the reason why that is the case is because this here package is something that vue-cli uses. So you can see it right about here. So it basically it's a package that is basically a core package artist. So I guess I remember correctly, because that is needed by the vue-cli. Now, when I found out about this, the vue-cli was something that I wasn't necessarily using because I was switching between machines or operating systems. At the time, I just pulled down, I wasn't creating any new Vue projects, it was just maintaining the old ones that I had. And the only thing that I needed at the time was basically Yarn. I use Yarn instead of NPM. And that was pretty much all I needed, just Node and Yarn, I guess. And I wouldn't have needed the CLI because I wasn't creating any new project. This is something that I didn't have on my machine at the time, and it obviously still necessarily would not have affected me because I don't have Belarusian or Russian IP, and so it kind of wouldn't affect me. But you can still go ahead and read up on the article. So that is why I wanted to address this here, because it's something that I recommend that you guys use, because I often create tutorials and videos on the Vue language. I think it was important for me just to highlight this here, because it's something that was important. It can show you how persons, I want to say selfish, because they're not necessarily thinking about others that are using these packages. I mean, we understand that the situation is tragic, but this is not necessarily, in my opinion, a way that you go about dealing with this. And I think it was unfair, and it's not something that should have been done. But yeah, because I often create Vue tutorials and stuff like that, I thought that I would just highlight this. The issue was fixed in the most latest release. I think even in here, you may also see where it tells you that what to do, or pretty much that it would have been fixed pretty much shortly afterwards. So if I also go to github.com/vue.js, and if we go down to the Vue CLI, which is not here, where is it? Here we go. So if I go over to the Vue CLI, which was updated 19 or 4 days ago, you'll see that the most recent release is saying that there was a fix for the CLI shared utils, and this is basically the replacement for the NodeIpc. And again, this is just because of the issue, because it was dependent on it, and yeah, so that would have fixed it. But again, I think from the topic, I kind of strayed away from why I say that, is because the reason for this is that if I was saying about not necessarily use I don't like to use dependencies or other packages, and that is because sometimes some of these packages that are so small that you could pretty much maintain them yourself, or you could also create them yourself. And in addition to that, this goes against the idea of reinventing the wheel. But if you have a project that is massive and is something that that in the event that something like this should occur, a developer decides that they want to do something stupid, then you know you're gonna have an issue with that, because this is something that, if when installed, pretty much what happened was that it would have destroyed your file, if I remember correctly, like leave this heart or whatever, and destroys the deletes the files to the point of just corrupting the hard drive. And it also speaks about another protest, like, in some sense. We could also look at the CVE on it, because it was quite high. And he also spoke about another maintainer who basically did something of the same thing, intentional abuse, basically corrupting their packages. So this is the faker package, the guy who decided that he's not going to develop the project anymore, maintain a project anymore, because big companies and small companies are using it, but they're not necessarily sending in any money back to the package. But I mean, aren't these open source? Like when they were created, were they not started out being open source for pretty much anyone to use? Was not that the intention? But I mean, at the end of the day, I guess those persons have their own view on how it goes. But this is just how I'm looking at it, and this is just my perspective on it. And I think that is kind of unfair. And you can see that the CVE had a 9.8. You can see that yeah, it was quite bad. But all of these issues would have been fixed. Again, I'm a little bit late to the party because it's now March 27th. And yeah, but because I create all of these Vue tutorials and stuff like that, I thought it was something that important for me to highlight. And also, again, I have been struggling for some time now, thinking about some of the packages that I've been using and thinking that maybe it's not necessarily the best idea if you could write something really quickly and put together a package of your own, or at least maintain a package, because that is something that this guy highlights in this thing here, that says this code serves as a non-destructive example of why controlling your node modules is important. So you can see it right here, while controlling your own, well, your node module. So basically, like having a fork of this thing so that you don't necessarily just accept, you don't have basically the latest update or anything like that, because that was pretty much what would have occurred. A major release was pushed and persons just pulled that down, and that is why some persons were affected by this. But like maintaining, I think now I'm looking more towards maintaining my own forks of these things, and also not necessarily using packages that I could either implement in a very simple way, or it's not going to take a lot out of me to implement. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. So you can your guys' thoughts. So you can just leave your comments in the comment section. Let me hear what you think about all of this. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.